Good morning, good people of America. We have LivMoods there. What an amazing shot of Liv out in Denver, Colorado. She's probably still recovering from TCU losing in week 1.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
Right off the
We can't hear
jump,
Liv. One
off the
second.
rip.
I can't hear Liv, guys. No. Anyways, good morning, good people of America. This is Paper Route presented by I Am Athlete. This is what we call the Fast Friday edition. I know it's a pop-up for some of you guys that rock with us Monday through Thursday. We will recap Thursday night football. So much has happened last night. So much went on last night. For me watching it, I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was extremely sloppy. And I saw a lot of kinks in the armor when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and then the Minnesota Vikings. Are y'all going to get it or not? And then obviously we have LivMoods here, LivMoods. She's going to talk to us about units. She's going to talk to us about money lines. She's going to help us make a little cash come this weekend. A lot of big games, a lot of big opportunities. So we dive in to everything happening this week. We need to preview what's going to happen with the Chiefs and the Jags. Can Trevor get it done? The Dolphins at the Patriots. I can't wait to get Liv's thoughts here. Now, Liv went out there. I don't know what she was thinking in week 1, but she had some interesting picks there. Some was hot and some was just okay. But now Liv has an amazing record, but we're going to dive in here. The Ravens at the Bengals, the Raiders at the Bills. But first, we dive into Thursday Night Football. Liv, welcome back to the show. Did you watch last night, and what were your thoughts?
I did, and my thoughts were the Eagles are definitely not the same Eagles that we saw all of last season. They are winning, but they're winning very ugly. They're winning very ugly right now, which is fine. It's still early. They've still got some things they need to sort out. But more than anything, I think my biggest takeaway is Jeff Bezos. What's good, my boy? Because what kind of sorcery are you putting on Thursday night football games? Because they are just ugly. They are so ugly. The Vikings, at the end of the day, they're just full of self-inflicted wounds, turning over the ball. Kirk Cousins, he's 35, but in football, that's like 80. So they got to protect him a little better. So he's got some more time and can handle the football, protect the ball. The Vikings just look messy. Justin Jefferson, not so messy. He's an exceptional talent. Obviously, we saw Swift as an exceptional talent as well. So a lot of talent individually in these games, but as a whole, yeah, messy football for sure.
So, Liv, I'm sitting there watching it, and I stayed in the studio last night because I wanted peace and quiet. So I had a buddy come over, and we're sitting here watching it. Pulled out our little comfortable chairs, and I'm like, man, this is messy. Man, this game is not attractive at all. Now, it was high scoring, so I think for anybody who took the over, they hit. Am I right there, Liv?
Yeah, I did. I bet the over in a same game parlay, so that did hit. Unfortunately, my parlay lost by one leg, but yeah, the over did hit. It was a high scoring affair.
Right, but for us that was watching, right, just pure football fans, no money on the line, didn't have a parlay. Especially if you're Eagles fans, you're looking at this game like Liv said, and it's like, oh my goodness, we're winning. Awesome. But this doesn't look like last year. This does not look like a strong team. They should have lost last night. I'm telling you, this was not about the Eagles. This was all about the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't know who the Minnesota Vikings is. And so I want to be clear there. But when you turn the ball over 4 times, you have no chance of winning in a high school football game.
Right.
Ball security is job security, yours and mine. And they didn't get that done. So, Liv, for them to still be in the position to win the game late in the fourth quarter, down by 1 score, says a lot about the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's not good. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm sitting back, I'm licking my chops, and I'm looking at this team saying they're extremely vulnerable. People will look at this game and say, oh, this is Kirk Cousins again. Kirk Cousins. He doesn't get it done again on a primetime game. Kirk Cousins went for 364 yards, 4 TDs. That's a phenomenal game. And so, yes, Kirk played well, but Liv, you know what hit me? It was like, it's still Kirk's fault. It's still Kurt's fault because he's not making the guys better around him. You go out there and you play this way, but then you have guys fumbling left and right or not just ready for the moment. And if you saw the Netflix series, Liv, quarterback, you see him, like he's an awesome person, super competitive, and he's also always prepared. But one of the things that we don't see, that we see in the great quarterbacks that we admire, that goes down in the history books, is the leadership. It's pushing guys to be better. Right? And I think that's the knock on Kirk Cousins. And that's why we look at Kirk Cousins on these primetime games and say he's not getting it done. But it really isn't Kirk Cousins. It's the guys around him. So if Kirk Cousins had the leadership like a Tom Brady, like a Drew Brees, like a Peyton Manning, right? Could we see a Kirk Cousins-led team start putting themselves in position to be real contenders? And so I don't know, Liv. It's, like you said, he's 35, and sitting at 35, it's either you got it or you don't. But I know for sure, if that was Tom Brady's team, hell, even if they were down 28-3, they would still find a way to be motivated to make big plays. And for some reason, he just doesn't get it done. He doesn't push his team over. So, Liv, like I said, ball security is job security, yours and mine. If you're the Dallas Cowboys watching this, how do you feel?
I mean, you've got to feel great. You've got to feel great. Your defense held the Giants to 0 points the last time that they played, and the offense and the special teams looked exceptional. So you've got to feel really good right now. Here's the thing about the Dallas Cowboys. We always start really high on the Cowboys because on paper they typically look like a really great team, and they typically have dominating wins early on in the season. So you're feeling pretty good right now because the teams that you're up against in your division are not great at this point in time. They haven't looked great in week 1, but again, really tough. You try to avoid the overreactions here because it is only week 1. We're now entering week 2. What are we going to see in week 2? But yeah, the Eagles, they are not the same Eagles. But I said this the last time I was on this show, that I think we can anticipate the Eagles getting a little uncomfy to start their season. They were 8-0 last year. So they were, they never had to feel vulnerable.
Right.
Now they're feeling that. But that could work to their advantage. Some teams get knocked around and get uncomfortable and they get better. So I would not say that the Cowboys should be feeling on top of the division by any means this early on, but you've got to be feeling pretty good at what you're seeing from the teams in the division and in the NFC as a whole right now, if you're a Cowboys fan or a Cowboys player for that matter.
Listen, this is Brandon Marshall here, LivMoods here on Faction Talk Channel 103, SiriusXM, and YouTube for everybody that's watching. Before we move on, you said overreaction. So, Liv, we'll get to overreactions, the overreaction games. Now, this segment is brought to you by Liv. Liv is going to be able to help us out here this weekend. We're all excited about the potential big bags that are in front of us. But before we do, somebody in the chat, and his name is Finn's Take with CB83. Blaming Kirk Cousins is super wild. Is it? Is it though? Like, look, 31 for 44, 364 yards, 4 TDs. But what I'm saying here, and Liv, and listen, keep me honest here. If I'm wrong, just say I'm wrong, Liv. You can push back on me. But my thing is, Tom Brady's teams, it's like you walk in with a little anxiety. You don't want to let that guy down, right? And all week, that guy is pushing everyone to be better, right? And I was watching something last night, scrolling through like Instagram or Twitter, and there was this lady who was talking about being around high performers, right? So Tom Brady's a high performer. Drew Brees a high performer. Peyton Manning is a high performer. So some of these great quarterbacks. And it said, like, when the high performer sits down with a low performer, the low performer's production raises by 15%, right? So he makes them better. You can look at this in basketball. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those type of guys, LeBron James, they make their guys better. They take an average guy, make him good, a good guy, make him into a superstar. And then if you're a low performer, okay, average performer, sitting around an average performer, it says your performance, your production decreases by 30%. And so that's what I'm saying. And I know some of that might be like, damn, Brandon, we're just talking football. Just give me the simple X's and O's. You got to understand, when you're in the locker room, man, there's some guys that do that, or some coaches that pushes you over the edge. And so when you're on these primetime games, all lights are on you. You're curating everything from when you get out the car you drive, from when you get out your car, what you're wearing, when you walk in the locker room, your pregame little outfit, during the game, what you're wearing, after the game, post game, what you're saying, all of those things. And so in those moments, you can't dip in production. And his teams does that, Liv. So hopefully that helped out Finn's take with CB83. If not, oh well, we'll move on. Liv, so what do we have here? Overreaction games. When you sent me over the text, I said, Liv, what do you want to talk about tomorrow? You know, how can you help us make a few dollars? How can you help us understand this weekend slate of games? Is it week 3 already? Is it week 2? Week 2. Week 2. You said, Brandon, overreaction games. What the hell does that mean?
Well, you know, we talked about it the last time I was on here too, and I've seen you talk about it on your show plenty of times, that there is a lot of overreacting that happens after week 1. You know, you see a Cowboys team shut out the Giants. Now all of a sudden the Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl. You see a Joe Burrow have under 100 passing yards against a good defense. Now all of a sudden the Bengals are ruined. You know, there's a lot of overreaction. So these games for me, there's either a storyline, like, I don't know, a very important player making a return, or it's, you know, a team that had a really bad performance in week 1 against a team that had a pretty good performance in week 1. There's just a lot of different things that I think we tend to overreact about in week 1. And especially too, I know that you kind of like me to break down betting sometimes. From a betting perspective, sometimes we can even catch Vegas slipping a little bit, and there's an overreaction by the sports book. So that's typically when you want to capitalize on a team and go, oh, Vegas, they're tripping. Like they're overreacting off week 1. These lines don't make sense. This team's favored by too much. This team shouldn't be an underdog. So I call them overreaction games because I think there's some sort of storyline in here, or some type of line or whatever that is, to me, reflecting a bit of an overreaction. So yeah, there's a couple games we can dive into, because I think that we may be able to make some money off of the overreaction.
Right. So these overreaction games, Liv's overreaction games, she has the Chiefs and the Jags. She wants to break down the Dolphins at the Patriots, the Raiders at the Bills, the Ravens at the Bengals. Liv, let's start with the Chiefs at the Jags. Now, reading your notes here, you say the Chiefs are coming off of a Super Bowl win and a Week 1 loss versus the Jags, who are coming off of a Week 1 win after being eliminated by the Chiefs in the playoffs last season. You also have here, can Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley hang with Mahomes and Kelsey? And then there was also, like, can he finally get over the curse? What is the curse? Can Trevor Lawrence break the curse? What is the curse? The curse that you're referring to is what?
I mean, the Jags have lost 7 straight to the Chiefs. So there's got to be some sort of bad juju curse type of witchcraft going on over here, because it's that's a lot of games to not be able to do a whole lot against this Chiefs
Liv,
team.
I got the curse. I know it. I know it.
What is it?
Yeah, because I was like, what is Liv talking about? The curse.
Yeah,
I'm like, the curse. I never heard of this curse. I was really excited to hear, like, what this curse was. Then when we start talking, it hit me. It was like, boom, like an epiphany. They just haven't been good. That's the curse. Oh, they just haven't been good. The Jacksonville Jags. They hung. Hold on. Time out, Liv. They had a great run last year. Second half of the season had a great run.
Yeah, well, they had a crappy coach up until last year.
That's true. Trevor Lawrence.
And no quarterback. When they did get Trevor Lawrence, he had a really crappy head coach he had to deal with, who was bumping and grinding in the bars while the team's on an airplane back home after a loss. I mean,
signing Tim Tebow,
dealt the best cards.
Signing Tim Tebow as a tight end. What are we doing? What are we doing?
What's going on, Jags? Come on now.
So how do you see this week? How do you see this game playing out? And is there any opportunity, to make a few dollars?
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do in betting every once in a while is just fade the public, because, Vegas is lit up and making its money and has been operating successfully for so many years because of people losing bets, okay? So when the public is heavy on one side of the game, there's a lot of times where just fading the public might make you a couple bucks. But honestly, I love what we saw from this Jags team in week 1. Defensively, they were making some pretty big stops, as well as offensively. I loved the connection from Trevor Lawrence to Calvin Ridley. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, and it's weird because every time I critique a quarterback or an offense or whatever, I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I promise I'm not a hater. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. There's no competition there. We know this. However, what we also know is There is a possibility their best defensive player in Chris Jones makes a return, as well as their best offensive player outside of Mahomes makes a return in Travis Kelce. But what I'm going to tell you is Travis Kelce accounts for 25% of Patrick Mahomes' targets in any given game. Even if he accounts for 50, the rest of the offense that we saw on in the Thursday night football game against the Lions, they can't catch a damn football. So even if Kelce makes every pass that is thrown his way, I don't know if it's enough. We saw a receiving group that truly was embarrassing Patrick Mahomes. He was playing a great game of football, but if they can't catch the ball, it doesn't matter. So even if Travis Kelce can catch every football thrown his way, I don't know if it's enough, considering we saw Trevor Lawrence pretty clutch in the game of week 1 against the Colts. Obviously, opponents matter. So, how competitive was that game really when you're looking at those two teams and breaking it down? But I think Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence can hang. If Kelsey's the only person on offense doing anything and he's fresh off an injury, right. I think I could see a Jags upset at home in a little revenge spot. I really, really do.
Right. I mean, we saw last night, Thursday Night Football on Amazon, the Philadelphia Eagles go out there and win and barely win. It was a sloppy game. And if you really watched that game, you saw a lot of chinks in the armor. And so are they good? Are they sitting at 2-0? Absolutely. But I think there's teams and coaches around the league and fans saying, man, we have an opportunity, especially the Dallas Cowboys. I know they were excited to see what they saw last night. It's the same thing here, Liv, when you think about the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, look, anybody playing against KC, in KC, it's damn near impossible to win there. But if you have an opportunity to get them on the road, there's a lot of chances for you to go out there and sneak one against them. And the reason why is because of where they sit right now. How are these receivers going to drop back? How are they going to react and respond from last week's Tony dropping, 3-4 passes? Patrick Mahomes looked phenomenal, but the guys around him didn't really step up and make any plays when they were needed. Chris Jones. Listen, you bring back Chris Jones, he's definitely the guy, but I don't know if that's a difference maker, right? What makes the Chiefs is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and there's no Travis Kelce. Now, when I say that, he could potentially suit up. Liv, I don't know if there's the reports came out yet. Is he playing or is he not playing? But if he is playing, I don't think you're not getting the Travis Kelce from the Super Bowl. You're not getting the Travis Kelce from camp, right? So, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm the guys on the other side, I'm not going out there trying to game plan and say, oh, we got to double him, we got to take him out. No, go out there, put your best cover guy on him, mano, and take away the other guys. Make Patrick Mahomes spread it out. Because of all of that, Liv, I see the Jacksonville Jaguars winning. And then there's going to be a lot of overreaction after this game, right? Because they're going to say, oh, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are done. They're done. No, relax, calm down, right?
Settle down.
This is a part of their you're right. This is a part of their journey, right? Their journey. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Patrick Mahomes. They're entering into a dynasty, but they're a little beat up, and they start off 0-2. Can they get over the hump? The same way they looked at Joe Burrow and the Bengals last week. Joe Burrow didn't throw for over 100 yards, and everybody start freaking out. But relax. When you have a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow and these type of coaches, you're always in position. But this is going to be a fun game to watch, and I got the Jags covering, and not only covering, winning. What's the spread here?
I've got him winning too. And honestly, I was going to go back on one thing you said. You mentioned Chris Jones, and I 100% agree that. Listen, this is a Chiefs team that in week 1, defensively, they gave up the 7th most total yards to their opponent, the Lions, right? An offense that people are like, I want to believe in them, but I don't know if I can. This was a really, really weak defense, and I'm not sure Chris Jones can completely turn that around. 7th most total yards allowed by this Chiefs defense. And then you've got the Jags, who had the 10th most total yards on offense. So I'm not sure a Chris Jones is enough to completely, flip the script there defensively for this Chiefs team. So I'm with you. I love a Jags money line play. I think the Jags can absolutely win this game, especially at home.
Right. I know this is going to be interesting. The overreactions after this happens, Liv, that's probably going to dominate Monday and Tuesday, sports talk airwaves.
Yep.
The Chiefs are done. You
The
know,
Chiefs are
don't let the Raiders go out there and win and go in there sitting at 2-0, right? And everybody's like, oh, is this the Raiders' opportunity? Josh McDaniels, the baby boy wonder, please. Relax.
No, and honestly, there are overreactions every week. And actually, the next game that I wanted to bring up to you is another overreaction, but I think for different reasons. We saw a Mac Jones against the Eagles put up 300 plus passing yards against an Eagles defense that not only got a lot of preseason, offseason hype, but also looked pretty solid. You know, last night, I think that was maybe the most fundamentally sound part of what we saw from the Eagles last night, the most consistent, I'd say. And then you've got the Dolphins, who Tua, 400 plus passing yards, finding Tyreek Hill and Waddle every chance he had, looked incredible offensively. So I think there's going to be a slight overreaction in this Dolphins at Patriots game as well. It's a divisional matchup. The AFC East, in my opinion, is wide open right now. So I'm interested to see how you feel about this game. Obviously, the Dolphins with one of the best offensive performances, like I said, in week one, but a top 10 defensive performance by the Patriots in terms of yards allowed. And we know the Chargers, who were the Dolphins' week one opponent, they don't play any defense. Zero defense played in week one. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts before I share what I like in this game in terms of what you think we're going to see from an electric offense and an electric defense.
Listen, Dolphins at the Patriots, the Dolphins win. And this is a game that we all need to watch and can tell us, set up the story for the rest of the year, right? For me, it's not about the Dolphins winning. It's about how they win. They should go up there and they should really just have their way, okay? Now, it's going to be difficult in the first half because you have Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's teams are always prepared. They know what you're doing. Yep. They know all of your tendencies. But now it's, mano y mano. Who's going to make the better play? And when you look at the Dolphins roster, Liv, it's one of the best out there. And I disagree with you. I don't think that the AFC is wide open, right? I think there's 2 or 3 teams that have an opportunity. And if I'm being honest, and this is why I say really pay attention to this game, it can set up the story for the rest of the year, is because I feel like the Dolphins may be the best team in the AFC. Now, I was high on the Jets. I'm still high on the Jets. I've been calling guys, fans, players, like, look, just because A-Rod is not there doesn't mean that you guys can't go out there and still dominate teams and right. be where you want to be. You can. It's all on Zach Wilson. But like, he's gone.
Do you trust Zach Wilson down the stretch?
I trust the Jets. I trust the Jets.
Is that
a team
enough?
effort. It's a team effort.
It is a team effort, but it's also a QB-driven league.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I trust Zach Wilson. So QB-driven league. What about that? What about this legendary defense we have? What about Garrett Wilson? What matters.
What about Breece Hall? Did you see Breece Hall Monday night?
I did.
Okay.
I liked what I saw from Breece Hall.
Okay, so even that, the running game, you saw Swift go for 175 yards last night, looking like the best running back in the business. He made his quarterback look phenomenal. So we need this. We can do the same thing, and we just need him to make his plays when the plays count. But back on track here, Liv, really quickly. And if you want to debate that, we can shelve it and come back because I would love to talk to you about my
You're
Jets.
Ready to go on that debate.
Yeah. But here you go, Liv. Like, the Miami Dolphins is in perfect position. You got firepower all across the board on offense. Tua looks phenomenal. Your coaching has a great brand of ball in front of you. They're very sophisticated, high IQ through the roof. Defensively, and I said this. This was the biggest pickup and the biggest transaction in all of the NFL this offseason. Fangio, defensive coordinator, is now in Miami. Now, I've had some knockout battles against some of the best over the last 20 years, right? Like my 13 years, but seeing these guys come and go during that time. And when I tell you he is like that, he's like that. If there was a Hall of Fame just for coordinators, he would go in a Hall of Fame. Was a decent head coach in Chicago, didn't have everything he needed, but defensively, oh my goodness.
You're right. But I just, you know what? I think that, listen, you won't meet another person higher on the Dolphins than me. I've got them coming out of the AFC East, and I've had conversations about Tua having an MVP caliber season, putting him in my top 5. People think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over it. whatever. I am a very large Tua believer, very large Dolphins believer. But there have been so many times that games like this, I have been burned thinking the offense is enough. I have been burned so many times. You have to look at what it is. The downside for this Dolphins team is not only defense, but also their offensive line. Their offensive line is not great and hasn't been great. And when I look at a Bill Belichick-led Patriots team at home, I know that they've got a plan for Tua and Tyreek. And they've been a defensively sound team for quite some time. And they were hanging with the Eagles. They were slowing down Jalen Hurts like crazy last week. And Mac Jones, facing an Eagles defense, still had 300-plus yards. Mid Jones, I've been roasting this guy for years now. And he looked pretty damn good. So I don't know. This to me just feels like a very big upset spot. I can see a lot of people using their brain the same way you are and going, nobody's stopping this Dolphins team. I'm just saying, Brandon.
Liv. I just went to my iPad, went on the internet, and I went to the box scores from week 1, okay? Dolphins at the Chargers. Now, Liv, before the season started, what were your thoughts on the Chargers?
That unless they get rid of Staley, they're not doing diddly squat.
Dang. Okay, that ain't helping me out here. I was high on the Chargers. A lot of people were high on. Like, God dang it, Liv.
Sorry about that. Man.
Okay, but they go. So you weren't impressed by from their victory opening day, beating the Chargers 36-34 in LA. You weren't impressed at all.
I mean, I was very impressed, but there wasn't an ounce of defense that was being played in that game. Not 1 ounce.
Liv, Tua, 466 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR, quarterback rating 110.
Okay,
running game.
Brandon, you should do that if you have no defense on the other side and you have the best wide receiver duo in the league. I love the Dolphins. I'm high on the Dolphins, but I expect that if there is no defense being played in that game. You have the best wide receiver duo on your side. The best. And there's no defense coming your way. You should have 400-plus yards.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so you're taking Patriots. Is that what I hear you saying? Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to figure out some type of friendly wager or not friendly wager.
Well.
Yeah. Well, I got the Dolphins. I really believe that the Dolphins, what they have, their defensive coordinator, Coach Fangio. I love that. I love what he does because if he has players, which he does. It takes him into like this top 5, top 6, top 7 type conversation. But him alone, his scheme, and how he gets all those guys to play on one accord, all the guys are on one string, it makes it difficult. So when you think you have an inside release and you have what you want, they're pushing you to something, right? And so they're all smart and they all understand what the job is. So we'll see, and we'll debate this come next week, Liv. Raiders
Friendly wager incoming.
Say that again?
Friendly wager incoming. Okay,
there we go. Raiders at the Bills. Should the Bills be worried? That was a question that you had, Liv. And I for me, I think that the Bills should be worried. I'm not high on the Raiders, but because of Josh McDaniels, he's not the type of leader that's going to get guys to follow when things hit the fan. Will guys stick? Are they going to run through a brick wall for him? No, not even coaches, right? And we've seen that already going into the year. He got his players saying, I'm not even showing up. I don't want to play for this coach. I don't want to play for this general manager. But I will say this, though. Josh McDaniels is probably the most sophisticated, smartest coach from an X's and O's standpoint that I've ever been around. And I've been around some really good ones. He'll tell you what's going to happen before it happens. He's that good, right? Think about where he comes from. He comes from Bill Belichick. And the way we talk about Bill Belichick is his teams, they don't beat themselves, right? They're always prepared. They master situational football, right? So it was a little bit of a culture shock when Coach Shanahan was fired in Denver, Liv. You were just a baby out there when I was there in 2006 to 2010. But remember, we brought in Coach Josh McDaniels. We started off 6-0. And so it was a bit of a culture shock the way he did things. Like, it was unbelievable how he ran his meetings and said, this is going to happen. And then you get out there and it's like, holy shit, it happened. Now, there are some stories, some reports that said that he was doing a little cheating out in Denver. And when the league came down a little bit, this was broke. This news was broke on I Am Athlete through DJ Williams. Like DJ Williams said that the coach was coming in saying, hey, here you go, watch this film. And this is what's going on. So, I don't know how much of it was Josh, on the, for them on the defensive side, or how much of it was the film that he was giving them. But for me on offense, I never seen any of that, right? I just know that there was moments where you say, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, you get into the fringe area, right? Got to have it moment. They're going to go all out blitz. This is what you're going to do. Kyle Orton, pat your head. Brandon, run the post. You're going to be wide open for a touchdown. And that's what was going on. So, Liv, the reason why I said all of that, and I'll pass it to you here quickly, but it's like Josh McDaniels understands everything that's going on in Buffalo, and he'll put his team in position. And I'm worried about the Buffalo Bills because they should have won that game opening night, Monday Night Football. Like, that stadium went from rocking to being probably the most deflated we've ever seen a sports arena or stadium. Aaron Rodgers, all the hoopla around the Jets, Hard Knocks, et cetera, all offseason. Everybody's talking about the Jets every single day. And in 4 plays, Aaron Rodgers goes down and Zach Wilson comes in. He's not the savior. We saw that last year.
Yeah.
And you don't get it done, Josh Allen. And it's not just about that. Josh Allen didn't have a great game. He didn't, take advantage of the opportunity. It was how he looked. Liv, it was how he looked. Did he not look frantic no, not frantic. He looked frightened. Eyes big.
He was terrified.
He was just sitting there by himself like this. Liv, look. People walking by, he like, yeah, I'm good. No, you're not good. I had Ashley do like what Tom Brady do in that moment, and Tom Brady would be sitting there like this, fire, like, don't come up there. I'm good. Are you good? Right? You didn't see that. He was like this.
You would have thought Halloween came early. He looked spooked.
and that scares me. That scares me.
No, it is. It should scare you. Absolutely. I'm with you. Bills Mafia should be worried. And I've had this conversation throughout the week this week, and Bills fans are like, oh, here we go, another overreaction from week 1. This is not an overreaction. Since week 1 of 2022, Josh Allen has played 19 games of football and has had, including picks and fumbles, he's had 37 total turnovers since week 1 of 2022. This is not an overreaction. This is not an isolated week 1 incident. If anything, the Bills should have capitalized off of a Zach Wilson-led offense on the other side. They have a great defense on paper. They have a great offense on paper. There's no reason the Bills shouldn't have capitalized on that moment. It was an absolute missed opportunity in a divisional game to set the tone for your year. This Bills team, it's not getting any easier. You've got the Chargers, Chiefs, and Eagles, just to name a few, all on the road. All on the road this year. Your schedule gets no easier than this first game where you see Zach Wilson on the other side. You and I can both agree the Jets defense looked exceptional.
It looked good.
A quarterback like Josh Allen, who wants to be included in elite conversations, you should have been, curb stomping a Zach Wilson offense on the other side. Yeah. It was crazy to me. This is not an isolated week 1 thing. And you know what? We've got to start changing our tone when we speak about Josh Allen, because we don't give any excuses or give any grace to Dak Prescott when he turns over the ball. We don't give any grace to a Russell Wilson when he turns over the ball. So I'm done giving grace to Josh Allen. This is not a week 1, primetime Monday Night Football incident. He turned the ball over all season long. All season long. So to me, it's an identity crisis now.
Yeah, and listen, there's a lot going on there. Obviously, a lot of speculation this offseason around, his relationship with Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs not showing up, coming in and missing the first day of minicamp, and then agent flying in, everybody sitting down, kumbaya moment. Then they move forward, everything's great. But this week, right, there was a hot mic left in the press room, and there was a bunch of reporters sitting around. And the audio picked up a reporter talking about Stephon Diggs. Now, I'm not bringing this up to talk about Stephon Diggs. What I am bringing it up to talk about was his brother's response to it, right? So basically this reporter was like, the way Steph treats people, talk to people or whatever, which I've been around Steph, amazing dude, great dude, definitely competitive, and he's also real, right? So, like, I can see him just looking at somebody and telling them this is how I feel, but doing that in respect. I say that because his brother comes out and says, man, it's time to get bro to a safe place. Think about that. His brother said that publicly now.
That's a heavy statement.
That's heavy, and there's a lot of words around that. So I say that because I don't think that everything is smooth there. You know, Stephon Diggs handled himself like a true pro Monday Night Football, encouraging Josh Allen, walking up to him, saying, "You're okay, we're okay, let's go." But I see Stephon Diggs and his team looking at, like, how can we get out of here? How do we go to a better place, right? Not a better place, but a place that fits me right now. And Liv, the place that I see is the New York Football Giants. And Ashley and I was debating this heavy yesterday because she's high on the Dallas Cowboys. But if you look at how the Dallas Cowboys are constructed, they have to move a lot of pieces to fit him in. It would be a great story. The Diggs brothers playing together, that would be awesome. But when you think about who he is off the field, the city fits him and his desires and fashion and building a brand. He's becoming a global voice when it comes to fashion around sports and entertainment. But then from a football standpoint, it makes sense to me, Liv. Brian Daboll and Stephon Diggs were together in Buffalo before Coach Daboll got the job, right? And they had a lot of success. And Danny Dimes, I'm sorry, but Danny Dimes needs a wide receiver, and that will make his job easier and Saquon Barkley's job easier. So if you get this done, oh my goodness. Who knows what can happen the second half of the season between this in this division. So I'm nervous for the Bills, and I do have the Raiders winning. And this is hard because in Buffalo, you know what? No, I'm sorry, Liv. I just saw that it was in Buffalo. The Bills will win, but I'm still worried about it. No, but this is tough. Liv.
It is tough.
Liv. Buffalo is wild. I don't know what about this place. Like, you go there and guys just, you know what I think it is, Liv? It's like it's gloomy. So when you fly into the city, the air, the atmosphere does something to the team. Like, these guys have been there for 3, 4, 5 months acclimating to this environment. Guys get there, they don't have nowhere to eat. You think you're getting Buffalo Wild Wings or something. There's no Buffalo wings. It's nothing. So
I'm taking on in Buffalo, man.
I'm taking the Bills.
Honestly, the fact that it's a home game for the Bills, in my opinion, I think it's a must-win redemption spot for them because, again, there are a lot of people that do want to give, Josh Allen his flowers for the success that he has had with this Bills team for so many seasons. And the Bills are good. On paper, this team is really great. I argued before the season started they were one of the best teams on paper. So they should get a win here. It may not be pretty, but this would be a good opponent, in my opinion, for Josh Allen to be able to tighten up and not have to feel a ton of pressure. Because, again, I'm not super high on the Raiders, and it's not just because they beat the Broncos last week. I'm just not super high on them altogether. But I think this is a must-win redemption spot to save face a little bit.
Right. Liv, before we move on to the Ravens and the Bengals to round out your overreaction games, this one is tough, Liv. Now that I'm thinking about the Raiders at the Bills, I know I just picked the Bills, and I'll stick to that. But, man, like, Josh McDaniels going to have that team, they're going to know their job and their assignment. He has it down to a science. This is a tough one for me, but playing in Buffalo, and I've done that so many times. I don't know, maybe I've won one game in Buffalo. It's like going into KC. It's terrible. Talk to me about the Ravens and the Bengals, right? What do you see here?
What we saw from Joe Burrow in week 1 to me was a reflection of many things. He got his bag, became the highest paid NFL player, and then threw for under 100 passing yards. And I think the overreaction part of this is going to be, oh my God, the Bengals are doomed. Joe Burrow looked horrible. But I really think that game was more of a reflection of how great that Browns defense showed up and how great that they played against the Bengals. And also, historically, the Bengals have slow starts. They started their season 2-2 last year, still made it to the AFC Championship game. And a little Joe Burrow fact for you, if you are a Joe Burrow fan and you are starting to feel worried about what you saw in week 1, 3 of his 4 lowest passer ratings have been in season openers, 3 of 4. So he typically starts off a little bit slow, and then historically he bounces back in week 2 and also plays better at home. So both of those truths will work in favor of the Bengals here. It's a divisional game. We know that the Ravens looked good in week 1 on both sides of the ball, but they also played the Texans,
Right.
So it's one of those things where I think there's overreactions from both sides. There's the overreaction of, holy cow, the Bengals looked awful. And there's also the overreaction of, the Ravens looked good, but they were playing a rookie quarterback and the Texans. So I lean Bengals here in a bounce back spot. I really do. And how I predict it goes is Joe Burrow bounces back incredibly. I'm going to go, he throws for 300 plus, and the Ravens will have the lead most of the game and blow it in the fourth quarter.
Right.
That's what I think will happen.
Wow. Interesting. Well, we had Zay Flowers on earlier. We brought him on to talk about Pepsi sugar-free NFL Rookie of the Week, nominees, right? And he talked about how week 1 they were a little rusty, and it took the first half for them to get going. And he expected everything to come together, going into this game, right? You didn't even get OBJ going. There was only, he had 3 to 4 targets, right? Like Zay Flowers was the feature guy, and he should be the feature guy, but you have OBJ and other guys, Bateman on the other side, that can get it done and help you now. J.K. Dobbins going down, that's a big blow for them, but, you still have Lamar Jackson, right? And now Lamar Jackson in this high-powered new offense is going to be thrown into the fire. Like, let's go. We got to get it done now. And so I just think, Liv, I hear what you're saying. There's a lot of validity behind your analysis here, but there's something about the Baltimore Ravens right now, right? And we're not going to know exactly what that is for a few more weeks. But because I know that this is going to be a big year, a special year for the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to ride the Baltimore Ravens for the next few weeks. Now, if they go out there and they shit the bed, then that's a different story. But I'm rolling with the Baltimore Ravens because this is Lamar Jackson's time.
You are not wrong. I mean, listen, this is one of those games where, honest to God, I think you could make a case for both of these teams, both of these quarterbacks. I mean, you cannot argue that the Bengals have one of the best offenses, again, on paper. I keep saying on paper because until we see it, you can be great on paper, but if you don't make it happen, and obviously we saw just about nothing from this offense in week 1, but typically what we get from this, matchup year to year is back and forth, back and forth. They're typically really close games. I think it's just gonna come out to who can close the game, which is why I'm backing the Bengals here, because we know historically the Ravens have a really tough time closing out games. I think in week 1 this year they averaged 3 points in the fourth quarter, obviously against the Texans, but last season they were bottom 10 in terms of fourth quarter points. So if the Bengals can capitalize off of that and have a high scoring affair in the fourth quarter alone, I think they can be okay. But again, I think this is just going to come out to who can close it out. And I don't know if I trust the Ravens yet to be able to do that in a divisional spot on the road. So, but again, great matchup. Probably one of my favorite on the slate this week. But whatever bet people decide to take, I would say I'm going to back Joe Burrow with a passing prop because I think he's in a great bounce back spot here.
Yo, Liv, it's like when I have you on, we talk about betting. It's like, is this overkill? And last night, I realized that it wasn't. I was talking to someone, an artist, big name artist, a female artist, and we were just catching up. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I made a bag off of Monday Night Football." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Yeah, I put in my bet." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, this is like taking over the world. Like everybody is freaking on some type of sports book making bets. It's unbelievable.
I mean, you know what though? Listen, I was on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called now, and I was watching last night's Thursday night football game. And when Jalen Hurts ran the Eagles out of the field goal line, immediately there were people all over Twitter going, "Oh, he's trying to burn the Eagles cover. He's trying to burn my over bet." I mean, you watch from a very different lens when you have money on a game, and really betting is not everything. At the end of the day, this is still football. These are still athletes. This is their job. We are fans of this game. But yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. Like I know people that are betting has basically taken over their Sundays, their Mondays, their Thursdays, and their Saturdays for college ball as well.
Unbelievable. Listen, Liv, we still have quick picks. So everybody, Liv, everyone, we have quick picks, and we're going to build a parlay. Not build a beer, but we're going to build a parlay. But we're going to stop our audio side of the show and continue here on YouTube and video. So we appreciate everyone. Faction Talk Channel 103, the entire team, Sirius XM. This is going to be an amazing weekend. Make sure you guys re-listen, re-watch Paper Route this edition, because Liv gave us a lot of game. Like, Liv knows what she's talking about. Hit her up, follow her up, ask her the questions. What is a money line? Like, people like me, I know there's a lot of sophisticated bettors out there, but people like me, what is a money line? I just learned that a couple years ago. Units. I just learned that this week when Liv came on. Units. You're like, Liv, come on. You act like this is the stock market, but it is in her mind, and that's why she is who she is. So we're going to say thank you guys to everyone rocking with us on audio. We love you. All right, let's move forward, Liv. We got a couple more minutes here, okay?
Let's do it.
Quick picks. All right, we're going to go through a few games here, quick picks. And I want to get your quick pick, your quick analysis if you have something. Or if not, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers at the Atlanta Falcons.
I don't have an opinion here on the side. I think the storyline here is a Bijan Robinson and a Jordan Love. So give me a high-scoring affair. I would say take the over, but I don't like a side in this one.
So for me, I'm gonna take the money line here. I don't even know what's the spread here. I mean, what's going on here? What's the deal?
Let me pull up the spreads for you.
Or not even a spread. Like they got the Falcons as the favorite, or the Packers?
I'll tell you the favorites for all of the games that we run through really quick. Favorites in this one, they've got the Falcons favored by 1.5. So they predict the Falcons will win by at least 2.
Okay, so I'm going to take the Packers here. I was in Chicago. I saw Jordan Love. I saw that team. They looked, how do I say this? They knew what the hell they were doing, right? Like, everybody was in position. And Jordan Love played really well, and I think they're going to scare a lot of people this year. I'm going to go with the Packers.
Love it.
All right, so Liv, give me the spread. You have the Seahawks at the Lions, and I would love to get your quick pick.
Yeah, Lions are favored by 4.5 here at home against the Seahawks. To me, this has overreaction written all over it. And a little fact for you really quick to help you guys in this game. This has been profitable since 2005, but a team that lost by double digits in week 1 covers the spread in week 2 at a greater than 60% rate. So what does that mean, Liv? The Seahawks cover. I'm backing the Seahawks to cover in this one.
Damn, you convinced me. I was literally going to say, Liv, stop it. And I was going to go, I was literally about to go with the Detroit Lions.
Nah, I'm backing the Seahawks, man. I'm backing the Seahawks.
Well, listen, I was going to
cover.
I was going to say that, and I'm still going to be good here. The Seahawks cover, but they lose. I just like the Detroit Lions, the way they play ball. The Seahawks, how do you open up the season that way? You lose to the Rams 30-10 or whatever it was. I was actually going to have the Lions covering, but I have the Seahawks covering but still losing. Liv.
So quick, I saw that there's a comment in the chat from Bam Bam. They said, I would bet, but I don't understand the lingo. So really quick, when I say that a team is going to cover the spread, basically, if the books have the Lions favored by -4.5, that means that Vegas predicts that the Lions will win by at least 5. So because there's no half points in football, if the line's at 4.5, they've got to win by at least 5 points. Now, if I say the Seahawks are going to cover, that basically means the Seahawks have to lose by less than 5. They can win it, and I'll still hit my bet. They just have to keep the game closer than 5 points. So basically that line right there is just Vegas's prediction on how the score will pay out and how much they'll win or lose by. So if you take the underdog to cover, then you're basically saying they'll lose by less than this. And if you take the favorite to cover, you're saying they'll win by more than this. So I don't want you to be scared off of betting. I want you to be able to do it. So if it helps to break it down a little bit, there you go.
Liv, that's amazing. It's, I'm being honest here, Liv. I'm so proud of you.
I appreciate it.
No, seriously, right? Like, I'm so proud of you because I know how hard and difficult it is for women in sports media and just women, period, but definitely in sports. We're talking about the most machismo environment that you can be in, the most competitive environment you can be in. And for you to come in, not only in sports, but do it in betting and dominate the way you do, what hit me was like, it's a privilege to be sitting here with you, right? It's an honor.
Oh, please.
No, I'm not. I don't know.
You.
Liv, I'm fucking meditating every day and doing yoga every day now, so I guess I'm just sensitive. But this is real feeling.
Athletes got him emotional, y'all. Oh my
Look,
goodness.
hey, Liv, I'm gonna stand up. I literally have yoga in 10 minutes. So guys, we're ending this show in 10 minutes because I got Kayla doing yoga. So I'm gonna stand up and show you that I got my yoga tights on. Watch this, Liv.
No
I'm ready. Look, Liv.
Oh, he is namasteing. He is ready to go.
Look, I'm ready.
Oh my God. Oh, he's ready. Yo, we got to rapid fire through the rest of these. He's got a downward dog that he's got to be in 10 minutes.
Crow, all of that. Words of affirmations. I'm doing all of that. All right, let's get back on track here. So we have the Colts at the Texans.
Yep. Yeah, this one is an interesting one. And honest to God, this line confuses the hell out of me right now. The Texans are favored by 1.5, but I'm pretty sure Anthony Richardson is not listed on the injury report. I know that the Houston Texans defense held the Ravens pretty nicely in the first half at least, but I felt a little unimpressed by CJ Stroud's performance, and maybe that's a testament to the Ravens defense, but this line makes no sense to me. I have the Colts winning outright here. I don't know why they're not the favorite. If Anthony Richardson can play, I like that he's a dual threat quarterback. I'm backing the Colts to win.
Okay, Bears at the Bucks, Liv.
Bears at the Bucks. This might be the most difficult game on the slate from a betting perspective, in my opinion. But the Bucks allowed just 41 yards on the ground in week 1. Chicago was facing in week 1 a Green Bay Packers defense that had the 7th worst rushing defense last season. And despite that, their running backs only rushed for 27, 20, and 16 yards. They need the pass game to compete, and I don't think anyone trusts the Bears pass game yet. So I'm actually going to back the Bucks and Baker Mayfield. I actually can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, I'm backing the Bucks here.
Quick picks with Liv here on Paper Route, presented by I Am Athlete. Chargers at the Titans. Now, this is the Chargers that you're not high on because they have Brandon Staley.
Still think they can get the dub here. I don't think either of these teams will play defense, and I trust one of these offenses more than the other, so I'm going to back the Chargers. Believe it or not, Brandon, I'm backing the Chargers.
Okay, so Liv, this next game with one of these teams, I'm about to be high on here in the next couple of weeks. Everybody's down on this team. They think that they're just not good, and I'm telling you, they're going to surprise a lot of people. The Giants, the New York Football Giants. Week 1 was anomaly. You have the Giants at the Cardinals. The Cardinals actually showed they played well. They played okay.
Yeah,
they played better than we thought. Give me your thoughts here. Quick pick.
Again, despite scoring no points in week 1, I do trust Saquon Barkley alone more than I do the Cardinals offense as a whole. I think that we'll get a lot of overreaction here, but week 1 for me was more of a testament to how strong the Cowboys defense is this season. So I think the Giants can get it done and turn their season around a little bit.
Hey, Liv. Look, can I get a side-by-side? I don't know if we can do the side-by-side today, but can I get like me and Liv on the screen? I don't know if we can do that side-by-side for the next one. Okay, 2-shot. We can't do 2-screen? Okay. All right, Jets at the Cowboys. Jets at the Cowboys, Liv. Now, the reason why I wanted to see a side-by-side with me and you is because I wanted to look you in your eyes, all right? I wanted to look you in your eyes. Now, hey. Jets at the Cowboys, Liv.
I'm going to tell you, Cowboys by a lot. Cowboys by
a lot.
Wow. I know. Listen to me. Brandon, I know you love this Jets defense, and that's fair. You should. They looked exceptional. I know you love a Breece Hall. That's fair. Zach Wilson's going to get his feelings effing hurt. Wow. He is going to get his feelings hurt. The Cowboys defense forced 22 pressures against the Giants, finishing with 7 sacks and 12 quarterback hits. 12. Zach Wilson is getting his feelings hurt. Cowboys by a mile.
Okay,
period.
This is the one I'm going to push back on, Liv. I have the Jets covering and winning. Okay, watch.
What? Ooh,
okay.
Ooh,
okay. All right, 49ers at the Rams. Will round off our final quick pick. And this is going to be an interesting one, Liv.
Very. Very. Yeah. 49ers are an incredible 8-2 in the last 10 against the Rams. But the reason that's important is most of those wins were before Christian McCaffrey. And if you watched week 1 of this 49ers team, you know why that's a big deal. Obviously, Stafford looked really good, but the Seahawks also looked really bad. There's still no Cooper Kupp. 49ers D, I think, will force a little bit of regression from Stafford in week 2. And after a Steelers money line loss, will no longer be fading the 49ers. So I think they win and they cover.
Okay. That's LivMoods right there. Make sure you guys follow her. She'll be back next week with us, and we'll start diving a little deeper on, betting and just talking about ball with her. But she's awesome. And, Liv, before we go, let's build a beer. Build a beer parlay.
Build a bear workshop. Yeah, build a parlay workshop.
Let's do that together. Let's do that. Let's give some our paper chasers the opportunity to either, it's called ride with us, or is it fading us? What's the terms there? Teach us that. Teach us that.
You could say ride or tail, which is like you're following our lead, or you can fade. So yeah, you got it.
I don't like tail. I feel like we can have something
do ride, because a lot of people say that too. You were on point.
What did I say? Ride?
Ride, yeah.
Yeah. I like that one. Ride with us or fade us. But if you fade us, it's gonna be a problem now. All right, Liv, let's do it. Let's build a parlay.
Let's do it.
Give us some options.
I think we should, because we both like the Jags and the Bills, we could do Jags money line, Bills money line. First 2 legs.
All right, so let's write this down. Jags versus Bills.
So do Jags money line and then do Bills money line.
Jags
so we're
money
basically
line.
saying Jags upset the Chiefs, Bills not upset, but Bills beat the Raiders.
Bills money line. Okay. All right. We need.
You switched, right? You like the Bills now that you know they're at home, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right. So,
okay.
When you do your parlays, do you ever do so this is just games, right? This is just the money line, or do you do any like player props or anything like that?
Every so often, I think I can already tell you'll probably like, if you don't trust Zach Wilson against this Cowboys defense, we can look at a Breece Hall prop.
Okay.
If you like Breece Hall to be dominant in that game.
Well, no, listen, it's interesting, and we'll dive into this next week. I want to get, your thoughts more on like your approach to it, when you're putting together parlays, player props. And then, it seems like today we're going to lean more towards just money lines in the games itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Jags on the money line. We got the Bills on the money line. What's the next 2, Liv?
Let's go. Do you like the Colts beating the Texans?
Colts beating the Texans. Yeah, Anthony Richardson looked really – he looked good. And then also – and this is – I talked about this with Zach Wilson, right? Like, I need him to be confident. I need him to not have – to be up so tight, right? Like, you have nothing to lose, right? And so go out there and just let it rip. It's like Brock Purdy. When Brock Purdy came in as a relief pitcher last year – I think it was Jimmy G that went down, right? It wasn't that he got the game, he won the game and he made a few plays. It was what he did after those plays, the fist pumping, the mimicking of shooting the guns, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, oh, this kid got moxie, and that's what you want out of Zach. But then also when we talk about this game, like Anthony Richardson, it was that as well. They didn't win, but his flair, his confidence, it was like, oh, this kid knows that this moment ain't bigger than him. He's really a star in the making. So I like this. I don't think this is going to be a hard one. I like Anthony Richardson and the Colts getting it done.
Okay, so we can go Jags money line, Bills money line, Colts money line, and then did I persuade you on a Seahawks cover?
Yes, you did. You got me. You said you wanted to do that. What you say? What was the history of it? And then 60% this, 60% that. I'm like, yo.
Since 2000, I hit you with a stat from 2005.
Right. What was it again? Say it again.
I said that when teams, okay, so I'll read it to you. Teams that have lost by double digits in week 1 since 2005 have turned around in week 2 and covered at a more than 60% success rate.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm going with you. I'm going with you. So we got
So we got 4 legs. We've got Jags money line over the Chiefs. We've got Bills money line. And for new bettors, money line just basically means that's who's winning. So you don't have to worry about by how much or how many points. Jags are beating the Chiefs. Bills are beating the Raiders. Colts are beating the Texans. And then we've got the Seahawks to lose by less than 5 points.
And then also parlay, right? So parlay, basically you can put together 3-leg parlays, 4-leg parlays, 6-leg parlays, meaning like you see we pick 4 money lines, right? So that's a 4-leg parlay. And what happens is if all of these hit, your bag gets bigger. Right. So if you just pick the Jags versus
value.
whatever, just the Jags, right, and you put $25 down, you may make $100 or something like that. Right. But if you hit all 4 together, that 25 turns into maybe $400, $500. Sometimes it's $1,000 depending on, what games you pick. So this is why parlays are fun, and it makes the games interesting. Since I've been doing this for 2 years, because Liv, I'm not like I'm not one that's this is not my life, right? Like my lifestyle, money, money, money. But it makes the games better, right? Like you have your ticket in front of you, and you're like, oh my goodness, anytime score, come on, I need you to score, or who's going to be the first to score? I really like the player prop bets, Liv. So next week, if we can do
some player props,
huh? Let's do some player props next week. I love player props, so we'll do that. But look, we have Liv here, Brandon Marshall here, SiriusXM Faction Talk Channel 103, sitting here on YouTube with the Paper Chasers. We always love you guys. We're always testing, so Friday is not a day that we typically do, but I think Friday could be something that we continue to lean into because we can react to Thursday Night Football, and also this is our opportunity to cover all of this weekend's or the weekend slate of games, right? So, Liv, thank you for coming on, and thank you for teaching us. And we look forward to this weekend and also next week when we have you back.
I'll see you guys soon. Can't wait.
All right, Paper Chasers, peace.